G'day guys and welcome to Warrior by Design, another episode. So today I want to speak a little bit about, we hear these things out there like foundations. You've got to build strong foundations. You've got to have, you've got to have a strong foundation. These foundations are important. If we don't have the foundations, everything's going to collapse around us and so on and so forth. Well, I'd like to discuss a little bit about what the hell are these foundations and are they the same for everyone? Well, for that first question, I would say, well, I don't believe they are, or I certainly don't believe they necessarily have to be, that's for sure. The interesting thing about foundations is why I think there's definitely a real necessity for it. If you don't have the proper materials and if you don't have the knowledge of how to build a foundation that potentially is going to be strong and will last, then it's quite difficult to just potentially just go out there and do it. Maybe not for some, but certainly for others, it would be difficult to just walk out there and build a foundation that's going to last for years and years and years, right? So what I would say to that is, what would you do if you had no one around you that could tell you how to build a foundation? In the sense that there was no one in your direct vicinity, no one you potentially knew within the family or your network that knew how to build these foundations. Well, see, if I talk about myself, I think what I would do is, well, there's a few options. One, potentially you could just give it a crack, see what happens. Allow it to, start building those foundations and build your building, build your life, and see how it goes. For some, it works out really well. For others, things start falling down, start wearing or giving away. And the interesting thing with that is you still need shelter, you still need security, you still need safety, you still want to feel that security, right? So do you just give up? And even though the foundations are falling down around you or the building's potentially falling down, do you just give up? Well, some may. I choose not to. And what I see now from where I am now in my life is I would seek out someone that has that knowledge, that awareness of how to create the foundations that's going to last, what material to use, how to put that material together in the best way possible to be able to make sure that the foundations are sturdy. Now, why we use these buildings as metaphors for life? Well, it is what it is. But the interesting thing is, if we talk about these foundations and we talk about life and what are we actually given in life, society-wise, even some family networks that also aren't aware of how to build these foundations, what are we given? Just out of the blue, or in our common knowledge, or in those important years of our lives that allow us to be able to understand these foundations and how we can make them withstand, the perfect storms or bad weather or situations that we may see as difficult. Well, from what I've seen and from what I've personally experienced, I don't think there's a lot out there. Now, foundations, what are we talking about? Well, in a nutshell, you'll hear me say it again, the foundations are what allow us to have the experiences we want in life with the least resistance, with the least amount of bumps and ripples, to be resilient, disciplined, and discipline in a willful desire way, and have the commitment to be able to show up with that knowledge. Now, foundations for myself that I would see key and pertinent to getting to know myself. Well, first and foremost, who am I? What am I? What do I want? Who do I want to be? And if I can come to a decision in that, one that's truthful in the sense that I get to know myself enough to understand what it is I truly desire, or what it is that my why of why I show up in the world every day, my why that I'm here on this podcast, my why that I didn't kill myself, my why of why I want to be a good father. All these, these pertinent questions that exploration of getting to know who we are, I think is a key starting point of being able to explore that with an openness and willingness to be able to challenge what we currently know to be true. Now, are there techniques and ways of doing this? Yes, there's many out there. Some people would surf, some people would play golf, some people would meditate, some people would ride a motorcycle, something I call wind therapy. There's many things that are out there that allow people to have these experiences: dancing, creativity, arts, music. And if none of that's for you, that's fine. Walk into nature, sitting in quiet, having a quiet cup of tea, allowing yourself to come to a place of rest where you feel comfortable, you feel safe, and you feel secure. And that's not easy for some. Safety and security is huge for some. And we'll go into that in a later date. But some of these tools, like meditation, I suppose the big key one, really honestly, is getting knowledge. Allowing yourself to gather knowledge to be able to create what you want, what experiences you want in your life. So that knowledge will be different for many people. Some may turn to religion, some may turn to yoga, some may turn to whatever, hunting, like judge how you might. That may be someone's thing. But whatever it is for you that allows you to come to a place of contemplation, exploration, that's the key thing. That's the first key thing, is to start being able to challenge that that to be true. Once you get to a point of being comfortable in challenging some of the things you believe and you see through your exploration of finding the knowledge that you require to be able to move past the current experience you're having. And there's heaps out there. There's many techniques which when I work with people or when I'm with people one-on-one that we can go through, and I will share some of these down the track. But the key thing is, if there's no willingness to explore or try or challenge some things in our lives that are creating the situation we have right now, well, it can be difficult because we need that drive and that will. Now, the things that allow us to start getting those sturdy foundations is when we find things within our lives that allow us to have moments of silence, to quieten the mind. And when I say quieten the mind, it's not necessarily everything shut off and, you're sitting there in a meditative position and everything's silence in your brain. It's about coming to the point of awareness that you realize that your thoughts aren't always truth. You don't have to listen to them. They aren't necessarily factual. When we're able to come to that place of realizing that it's okay to challenge some of our thoughts. Where do they even come from? And I think the more that we allow ourselves to look at these and challenge whether they're the validity within our own lives or the truth within our own lives of some of these thoughts, the more we come to realize potentially that they were never ours, or there was never something that was really you or the way you really saw the world. We talk about these things of downloading between from our environment and those are around us and all sort of stuff from when we're kids and so on and so forth. We talk about generational trauma and we talk about generational habitual behaviors and so on and so forth. Well, the amazing thing is why some of that may exist. The pertinent thing for me is that this can be rewritten, that we can challenge some of this stuff. We can have our own experiences with some of this stuff. We can form our own beliefs, our own understandings through talking to others, through seeking our own knowledge, through doing courses, through working with people one-on-one, through working with groups, communities, allowing ourselves to get to a point where we actually explore everything about ourselves again, as potentially when we did as children. So foundations are truly building blocks of that you require. I require for me, you require for you. To be able to have the experiences. Now, if I want to be, an extreme athlete or a race car driver, whatever it is, what I need in my life could be very vastly different to what you require in yours. So for someone or for me to sit here and say that this is the foundations of what you need in life. Now, why there are techniques and why there are things we'll go through that can potentially help with some of this stuff. If you come to a place of exploring and seeking out what it is that you want versus what it is you think you need. So for instance, if I'm wanting to be a race car driver, I'm probably not going to go and talk to a horse rider. Maybe I will, I don't know. But I'm probably not going to go speak to someone who jumps out of planes. There are aspects I could see you could have communication around, some of the fitness and so on and so forth. But the reality is if I want something specific in my life, I'm probably not going to go seek it from someone who's not really doing that within their life, or isn't showing up in their own life how or what I'm or for how or what I'm seeking, right? Does that make what they're doing wrong or right or indifferent? I don't believe so. It might not be right for you. And that's discernment, what we've talking about before, which is huge and that's great. But it doesn't necessarily mean anything. But what it does mean is you're seeking for yourself. You're finding the things for yourself. And there's some key things in there that we're going to discuss later on that allow us to be able to have that will, that passion, that desire, that warrior by design, to be able to find these foundations and what they are for us. But the big one is challenging what you know to be true, challenging what you believe to be true, challenging your experiences, challenging what you believe you need or you think you need, to be able to come to a place that allows you to have the awareness that everything that happens emotionally, thought-based, doesn't have to be true, doesn't have to be your reality. The more you are able to challenge from the perspective of what you want versus what you're experiencing, the closer you can move towards what it is you want. Anyway, guys, a lot of love to you. There's more to come. Well, thank you for listening. If you found this episode valuable, please take the time to like, share, and subscribe. It really does make a difference. It helps others out there explore their warrior, create a life of choice by design, and be all that they wish to be. Remember, explore, create, and be.